Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about Jira, a tool that, honestly, so many software teams live and breathe by. We're going to break down how it takes these massive, kind of fuzzy ideas and magically turns them into small, concrete tasks that actually keep everyone on the same page and, moving forward.
I mean, think about it. You need one central place, a single source of truth to plan, track, and manage all that work. From the biggest, most ambitious goals, right down to the tiniest little details.
And that, right there, is exactly where Jira comes in. It's not just any tool. It was built from the ground up for the agile way of working. That whole approach that's all about being flexible, working together, and constantly improving. So let's really dive in and see how it actually gets the job done.
All right, so to really get Jira, you first have to understand how it organizes work. It's all about creating a clear hierarchy.
Okay, so at the very, very top of this Jira hierarchy, we've got something called an epic. And I love this quote because it's the perfect way to picture it. A big, uncarved block of stone. It represents a massive goal, right? A huge new feature. But it doesn't have any of the fine details worked out yet. So yeah, an epic is that big picture. It's the high-level goal that's going to deliver some serious value to the business, like, say, building an entire training management system from scratch. But here's the thing. You can't build a giant stone all at once, right? So we break down those epics into what are called user stories. This is where we start to carve out the details and design, describing a specific thing the user actually needs to be able to do. And finally, we break it down even further. Stories get broken into tasks. These are the super concrete nuts and bolts steps for the development team, the literal to-do list items. So the most important thing to grasp here is really just the difference in scale and scope. As you can see, an epic is that huge company-wide goal. It might take weeks, maybe even months to finish. A user story, though, is way smaller. It's a focused piece that delivers value to one specific user, and crucially, it's designed to be small enough to get done in a single work cycle. In the agile world, that's what we call a sprint. And this three-level hierarchy, epic, story, task, is truly the secret sauce of Jira. It creates this crystal-clear connection from that massive business goal all the way down to what a single developer is coding today. It makes sure that every little piece of work has a purpose. Nothing gets done, well, just because. Okay, theory is great and all, but let's see how this whole thing actually works in the real world. We're going to use an example straight from our source material, building a brand new training management system. So the business has a problem. People are dropping out of training courses, and it's tough to know if employees are really learning what they need to. So they want a new system to fix all that. And boom, this just perfectly illustrates the concept. The team's big stone to carve is the epic training planner, but look how quickly it's broken down into smaller, way more manageable user stories. Instead of one vague, giant goal, the team now has 4 clear things to work on: preparing a plan, reviewing it, publishing it, and listing the schedules. See how that works? So now that we have our stories, how do they actually go from being just an idea to a finished, working feature? Well, that's where workflows come into play. A workflow is really simple when you think about it. It's just the journey that a single piece of work takes, from the very beginning all the way to the finish line. Right out of the box, Jira gives you this super simple 3-step workflow: to do, in progress, and done. Honestly, it's a great place to start for most teams. It gives you a clean, immediate way to see exactly where every single task is at any given moment.
But this is where Jira's real power comes out. It's so flexible. Because let's be real, very few teams work in just 3 simple steps. So you can create custom workflows that perfectly mirror your team's unique process. This example here shows a more detailed flow with specific stages for drafting an idea, getting it reviewed, and then finally getting it approved before a single line of code is even written. Okay, so we've got our work organized, we have a process to move it forward, but how do we know how much effort a story is actually going to take?
Well, in the world of agile development, teams often try to avoid tying estimates directly to time. Why? Because it can be super misleading. Instead, they use a system of what's called relative sizing to compare how big tasks are compared to each other.
Instead of getting stuck trying to predict exact hours or days, agile teams use something called story points. Now, this is a little abstract, but it's designed to capture 3 things all at once: how complex is the task, how much uncertainty or risk is involved, and just how much work is there. The focus isn't on how long will this take, but instead on how big is this compared to other things we've done.
Now, to assign these points, a lot of teams use a scale that's based on the Fibonacci sequence, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and so on. The reason for this is that the gaps between the numbers get bigger as they go up. It forces teams to think in broader, relative terms. A 1 is super simple. A 5 is way more complex. It helps them avoid getting into silly arguments over whether something is exactly 7 hours or 8 hours of work.
And the whole point of this is to keep stories small and manageable. So if a story gets a big estimate like an 8 or a 13, that's a huge red flag for the team. It's a signal that says, whoa, stop, this is too big. We need to slice this up into smaller, more focused user stories.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Even though story points aren't technically about time, some teams do find it helpful to create a rough translation, just for planning. The source gives this example where, for their specific team, one story point usually ended up being about 6 hours of focused work. And that's the key. This number is going to be totally different from team to team. It all depends on their unique way of working.
Okay, so let's wrap this all up. Jira is so much more than just a to-do list. It gives you this powerful, 3-part system for success. A clear structure to organize all your work, a flexible process to move it from just an idea to a finished product, and a really smart system for estimating how much effort is involved. These are the absolute fundamentals for modern project management.
So it really leaves you with this question to think about. By truly understanding and putting these core concepts into practice, epics, stories, workflows, and story points, your team can unlock the full power of a tool like Jira and start turning those huge, ambitious goals into real, tangible results.